When your cat stares at you without blinking, do you actually know what that means? Most people think it's just your cat being curious, or maybe waiting for food. Maybe they're just watching you. But behind that silent stare, there's something deeper that most people completely miss. It's one of the most emotionally loaded things your cat can do. And if you ignore it or respond the wrong way, which most owners do, you might be missing one of the clearest signals your cat uses to tell you how they really feel about you. Because that unblinking stare isn't random, it's communication. Let's start with what that intense look really means. The stare isn't curiosity, it's a power signal. Have you ever noticed how your cat sometimes just sits there, completely still, staring directly into your eyes without blinking? It can feel almost intense, sometimes even a little uncomfortable. Most people assume their cat is just curious, or bored, or maybe wondering when dinner is coming. But here's what's actually happening. In feline body language, a direct, unbroken stare is a dominant signal. Among cats, eye contact is serious communication. Predators lock eyes with prey. Rival cats stare each other down before fights. A hard stare says, "I'm watching you, I'm aware of you, I'm in control of this space." That's why cats often avoid direct eye contact with strangers. It can feel threatening. But when your cat gives that same unblinking stare to you, in a relaxed environment, something interesting happens. The meaning changes. Instead of confrontation, it becomes monitoring. Your cat is watching the most important thing in their environment. You think about that for a second. In your cat's world, attention equals importance. And the fact that they're calmly locking their gaze onto you means they see you as a central figure in their territory. But here's where it gets even more meaningful. Sometimes that stare slowly softens and turns into something else entirely. And by the way, if your cat ever stares at you and then slowly blinks afterward, don't brush it off. We'll get to what that really means later. And it's something most owners wish they'd understood sooner. Your cat's brain is literally tracking you. Now here's where science gives us a clearer picture. A 2019 study from the University of Lincoln on feline social cognition found that domestic cats constantly monitor the movements of their trusted humans. Not randomly, but intentionally. Researchers observed that cats track the behavior of specific people in their environment, the ones they rely on most. In other words, your cat is paying attention to you on purpose. Actually happening inside their mind. Your cat's brain treats you as a behavioral reference point. They watch you to predict what might happen next. Are you about to get up, leave the room, open the food cabinet, sit down and become a warm lap? Watching you helps them understand their world. But here's the emotional part. Most people miss. Cats don't monitor everything equally. They focus on what matters. And if your cat is calmly staring at you, just watching, without tension, it means you are the most predictable, stable element in their environment. You're not just a person walking through their territory. You're the anchor that makes their world make sense. And here's where it gets even more powerful. Because that stare isn't just about observation. Sometimes it's about something more physical, something cats leave behind without you even realizing it. That stare is also part of how cats claim you. Have you ever noticed what often happens right after your cat stares at you for a while? They walk over, rub their face on you, or bump their head against your hand. Most people think that's affection. And yes, it is. But here's what's actually happening. Cats have scent glands around their cheeks, forehead, and chin. When they rub against you, they release pheromones, chemical markers that signal familiarity and safety. Behavioral scientists call this allo-rubbing. It's a way cats mark members of their social group. Studies on domestic cats have shown that they frequently perform this behavior after periods of focused observation, meaning the stare comes first. Then the scent mark. Think about that for a second. Your cat looks at you, confirms who you are, then physically marks you as part of their territory, not property. Family. In the wild, cats share scent within trusted groups. It creates a collective smell that says, "This is our safe place. These are our safe individuals." And when your cat rubs against you after watching you like that, they're adding you to that invisible map. What makes this even more meaningful is that this behavior has roots far older than your living room, because the instinct behind it started long before cats ever lived with humans. And hey, if this makes sense to you, hit like and subscribe. It helps us reach more cat lovers who actually want to understand what their cat is really saying. This behavior comes from an ancient survival instinct. Thousands of years ago, cats survived by being extremely careful about where they placed their attention. In the wild, staring wasn't casual, it was survival. Feral cats constantly monitor members of their group, especially mothers watching kittens or dominant cats overseeing territory. Eye contact allowed them to track movement and potential danger. Researchers who study feline behavior have observed that cats adapt these instincts when they live with humans. But instead of monitoring rival cats, they monitor you. Here's what most people don't realize. Your cat has essentially placed you into the role that another cat, or sometimes even a maternal figure, would fill in the wild. You are the predictable presence, the one whose movements signal when it's safe to relax, or when something might change. Think about that for a second. Your cat isn't just staring at you randomly. They're using an ancient survival behavior and applying it to you, which means in their mind, you're part of their environmental safety system. And here's the part that makes this even more personal. Cats don't do this with everyone. Your cat doesn't stare at just anyone. Have you ever noticed that your cat doesn't stare at guests the same way they stare at you? With strangers, many cats avoid eye contact, or they glance quickly and then look away, because direct staring between unfamiliar cats can feel threatening, so they avoid it. But with you, they hold the gaze, sometimes for a long time. Here's what most people don't realize. That stare is selective. Behavioral studies on domestic cats show that cats develop individual social bonds with specific humans. They choose certain people to monitor, follow, and observe more closely than others. That means if your cat frequently locks eyes with you, it's not random. You've been chosen as one of their key social partners. You're the one whose behavior they care about understanding, the one whose presence they track, the one whose movements shape their daily rhythm. Think about that for a second. Your cat isn't staring at you because you happen to be there. They're staring because you matter. And this leads directly to the most important part of this behavior, the part most owners never realize. That unblinking look is actually a moment of trust. Remember earlier when I said that sometimes your cat stares at you and then slowly blinks? This is what I was talking about. A 2020 study from the University of Sussex discovered that cats use slow blinking as a social signal toward trusted individuals. When researchers slowly blinked at cats, the cats were more likely to respond with slow blinks of their own and approach the person afterward. But here's the part that changes everything. Slow blinking only happens after the initial stare. The stare establishes attention. The blink releases tension. In feline language, closing your eyes, even briefly, means you feel safe enough to break visual surveillance. Think about that for a second. Your cat is saying, I see you, I trust you, I can relax. That moment when your cat stares, then slowly softens their eyes. That's not random. That's your cat lowering their guard, which is something prey animals almost never do, unless they feel completely secure. So when you return the slow blink, you're speaking their language, and for them, that moment can reinforce trust more than most people realize. But there's one final detail many owners overlook, and it can matter more than you think. When the stare disappears, pay attention. If your cat has always watched you like this, and suddenly stops, don't ignore it. Cats are creatures of behavioral consistency. When something changes dramatically, it often means something deeper has shifted. Sometimes it's stress, sometimes illness, sometimes environmental change that makes them feel less secure. Behavioral scientists often note that decreased social monitoring can signal discomfort or withdrawal. In other words, if your cat stops watching you the way they used to, it might mean they're struggling with something you can't see yet. Think about that for a second. That quiet stare you've seen 100 times might actually be a subtle sign that your cat feels stable and safe, which means its absence can be meaningful too. This is where most owners get it wrong. They only notice the big things, but cats communicate through the small ones, and the small ones matter. So when your cat stares at you without blinking, do you actually know what they're trying to say? It's not just curiosity. It's not just waiting for food. It's your cat monitoring the most important presence in their world, the one they rely on to understand what happens next. And when that stare softens, when the slow blink appears, That's not just a cute moment. That's your cat choosing to lower their guard around you. That's trust, and that silent look across the room. It was never small to them, and it shouldn't be small to you either.